talking Ballesteros, then we were talking this guy, Owen Ayers. Again, kind of an ascendant prospect. Prospect Jim saying that he's right on the fringe of the top 100. Yeah. Probably not much difference between, say, the 90th prospect and the 110th. You know what I mean?
Or even if you say, honestly, 75th and 150th.
It's a great point.
Who do you like?
Flat tier, so to speak. Yeah. A lot of really interesting names. And I got to sit down with Owen Ayers, talk through his game, his offense, his defense, everything else. So let's take a listen.
There's a switch-hitting catcher in the Cubs organization who has absolutely dominated this year. His name is Owen Ayers. He's got 20 home runs in about 64 games. Owen, man, talk to me about how locked in you are at the plate right now.
Just feel pretty locked in, just trying to keep having consistent at-bats and swinging good pitches and things like that. So I've been feeling pretty good, and we've been putting a lot of work in the cages and with the hitting coaches, so it's been a lot of fun.
I feel like last year, I believe it was 2025, the Arizona Fall League, you kind of had a breakout. You put yourself on the map on a lot of the national prospect lists and other sites. What was it about that period of time for you that everything started to click and you were able to carry it into this year?
Yeah, I got a lot of time just to kind of work with myself and a hitting coach, Desi. He's our rehab hitting coach there. So just getting to do some one-on-one, work and getting to show up every day in Arizona and get to work on some things that I felt like I needed to work on and get a solid amount of time to kind of be patient and take my time and build up, especially with the hand, trying to get that back to feeling right. So taking things step by step, nice and slow, and kind of trying to build a good foundation and just really staying with the process and trying to not do too much and just kind of simplify things.
Was there anything specifically you worked on from a stance standpoint, or was it really just getting your hand back to feeling good?
Mainly the hand getting back to feeling good, but a lot of it was just kind of approach type of stuff, like my intensity when I swing, how hard I'm trying to swing, keeping good direction, and then, swinging at the right types of pitches, things like that. Nothing too mechanical and changing the leg kick or where the hands are at or anything like that. Just more approach type of stuff.
Not a lot of guys in the minors or even in the majors can sustain production from both sides of the plate like you have. At what point in your career, was it when you were young or high school or older? When did you start switch hitting and realize you could do that long term?
Yeah, I probably started around 9 or 10 was when I started working on it. I think maybe 11 years old, I tried it out in game a few times and had some fun doing that. And then I think when I was 12, I hit a homer from both sides of the plate in the same game. And that was kind of like the thing for me. It was, I think I'm going to keep trying to stick with this and keep doing it. Even though the next few years I kind of slowly stayed away from lefty and kind of worked a little bit more on righty, just a little undersized and trying to, get playing time and make sure that I was getting the right amount of reps that I could to get better. But I think probably my junior year of high school is when it all started to kind of click back together again. I started taking it full time and really locking in on that.
Are you a guy who can throw with both hands too? Because I know I was talking with Josiah Hartshorn and he can kind of whip it with both, which I find fascinating. Are you that ambidextrous, or is it more just from the stance standpoint?
I'm not. I don't really. I like to mess around sometimes and throw left-handed for fun, especially when I had that surgery on my wrist, my right side. So just messing around, throwing left-handed a little bit, but I'm not that great at it. I know Josiah. I remember him saying that he could do it too, and then I think Alexi Lumpoy, who's in Myrtle Beach with us, he can also do that. So it's kind of cool to see guys who can do that, but sadly, I don't have that ability yet.
Maybe someday, but I don't know how necessary it is. You're a good enough defender all around. And that brings me to another point. Our guy Jim Callis from MLB Pipeline always mentions you have a cannon for an arm, one of the best arms in the system. Where did that originate from? Do you have family members that played sports, or like that's a trait that I don't feel like a lot of guys have, and it's super valuable behind the plate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my parents, both my mom and dad, both played. My dad played baseball. My mom played softball. So they both had really good arms. I know growing up, seeing my mom throw the ball around, like she could throw pretty far. My dad always threw BP and worked with me growing up. So they both had pretty good arms, and that's kind of where I learned it from. And just always kind of enjoyed trying to have good arm strength and throw people out. It's something that I enjoyed doing in the game.
Your framing metrics too are always something when talking to people in the Cubs organization that that stand out. That is a trait that obviously has become so valuable in Major League Baseball, just from you think of like Patrick Bailey and some of these other catchers who really pop, even like a Carson Kelly does a great job with the Cubs at the Major League level. How have you worked on that specifically throughout your career behind the plate?
Yeah, I've done a good amount of work, especially since I got drafted. I was catching in college, but I don't think we took it as serious as it is now. It's very detailed and there's a lot of reasons behind what we do, and really just being able to do it multiple days a week for months on end. I started back in Arizona in January, and from there we're doing multiple days a week, working on receiving and blocking and throwing, all that stuff. So just been putting in a lot of work on the receiving end, and trying to really focus on what it takes to be great at it.
Is there something you could tell like a high school kid or maybe someone along those lines watching who wants to get better defensively? Is there a drill that really helped you from a receiving standpoint?
I think there's different drills that work for many different people. For me personally, a big one was using the half web glove. We have this glove that it's kind of like you take the web off of a normal glove, and it's like a flat kind of pancake-ish glove. And I use that with like a wrist weight on. And if you come up early on the ball or you kind of take your eye off the ball, you'll miss it and it'll hit you. So really having to focus on seeing the ball into the glove and being on time with it has been huge for me.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I've seen those before, and I've seen some drills on the backfields in Arizona and such. Yeah. So it's a cool little trick to pick up. Talk to me about some of the guys on Knoxville right now. Jefferson Rojas is just an ascendant prospect, really fun bat. Give me the scouting report on him as a hitter.
Yeah, every time he steps up, you expect him to do some sort of damage. He's been killing it all year, and sometimes like it's a hit behind him. So it's good. It's fun to watch him hit at the plate. He's just always staying consistent and driving the ball across the field, hitting home runs all the time. So it's been a lot of fun to watch him just continue to grow and get better.
How about anybody else on the team that maybe we as fans or people following the minors are overlooking? I know you guys are kind of loaded, but I'm curious if there's a name that jumps out to you from a tools standpoint that you're like, man, people aren't talking about this guy enough.
Majority of our lineup, honestly, like our team really hits very well. We've got some really good outfielders with Carter Trice, Andy Garriola, Alex Ramirez. Like those three are playing almost every day, hitting homers, getting on base, stealing bags, like doing a lot of good things for us. And then, there's Hayden Cantrell, Edgar Alvarez, Devin Ortiz, Ed Howard, Jefferson. Like there's so many different people, Ethan Hearn, Ariel Armas, like everybody on this team hits well and has got a good process of what they're trying to do, and everyone's working on things, trying to get better. So like, it's hard to single out like any specific guys, just because I feel like we're like a very well-rounded team. And like seeing 1 through 9, it's like there's not an easy out for anybody that comes up to the plate. Even Carson Seamus too. He's been a great guy for us. He plays the outfield, he plays the infield, he steals tons of bases, gets on base a lot. So like, it's cool to see how versatile our team is.
No doubt. Armas is another guy that is graded out as like a really good defender in your guys' organization. What have your combos been like with him, and what have you kind of talked to him about from like a trade secret standpoint as catchers?
Mm-hmm. We receive us slightly differently, but it's all kind of the same idea of what we're trying to do. So I think me and him, we just talk about things that we're feeling, or sometimes watching other big leaguers and how they do things, or the other team and how their catchers work. And just kind of seeing, what works best, and just trying to keep learning and getting better. You're always going to have room to improve. So just trying to pick little tips off him, or maybe he asks me about something. We go back and forth and try to help each other get better.
I love it. 2024, you're a 19th rounder out of Marshall. Take me back to draft day. I know we're about a week away or so from that at the major league level. Where were you? What do you remember about that moment?
Yeah, I was at home, and then I wasn't really sure if I was going to get picked up or not. I had some ideas that there was a chance, but I think what I remember most was just feeling like maybe there wasn't a spot for me to go, and what I was going to have to do to figure out a way to find my way into pro baseball and with a team. But then my agent ended up calling and saying that the Cubs were wanting to take me. And so that was a pretty special moment, just to see something for me come true. I've always wanted to happen. And then, my family and friends around me and everyone's faces, how excited we all were. It was a pretty cool moment.
That's awesome. I mean, you're raking right now, man. It's kind of crazy to think back then that you weren't entirely sure if you would get picked. So take me back to like your mindset then. Like, where would you have done? You know, like it seemed like it was like a grateful mix with surprise. So like, what would have the path been if you hadn't been scooped by the Cubs?
Yeah, I think I would have went and tried to play indie ball. I know that I wouldn't have given up on it. I knew that there was, some potential in me, and I just gotta keep working and keep getting better mentally and physically, and it would work out one way or another. So I'm very grateful for the path that has gone so far.
I love it. Oh, and this is a great interview. We appreciate you taking the time a ton. Best of luck rest of season, man. And we're excited to see you ascend through the Cubs organization.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.